Moving on to topic number 2, I wanted to talk about some video games that I've been playing. Last week, I kind of alluded to it that I've been really enjoying my time with a game called Hades. So, with that, I wanted to talk more about Hades. I know I kind of went in a little bit in depth with it last week, so I don't want to, you know, nag your ear off with that or whatever. So I also want to talk about some other games that I have been playing. But we'll start off with Hades. Hades I've been really enjoying, having a lot of fun with. I won't talk any spoilers or anything, but it's been a blast playing Hades. It took me by surprise. I've had a lot of friends, like speak their opinions about the games and try and recommend it to me earlier on when it was on just the Switch and PC. But I was like, nah, I don't know if it's for me. But gradually over time, seeing obviously the amount of positive reception it's been getting, I was like, okay, it's finally time to give it a try once it got released over on the PlayStation 4 and Xbox side of things. So I grabbed it for PS4, and I've been playing this almost nonstop. And by nonstop, I mean like every weekend that I have free, like that's typically a game that I'm popping in there. And I'll play it for a good few hours. I don't know what it is about it. It must be the gameplay, just the gameplay loop. It's so addicting. I haven't felt a game really hook into me this way, and make me think, and am excited to just like sit down and play it again in a little while. Not to say like other games aren't interesting or anything, like, but this one's really had something for me. And with the gameplay, I think the thing that makes it so interesting is just the amount of, not creativity, but the amount of randomness in a good way of how your runs can go. So if you don't know what Hades is about, it's a roguelite, which means essentially you're going to play through the levels, you're going to try and make it to the end goal. But if you die or lose or whatever, you essentially reset and restart at the beginning, fresh start. Now, I can understand how that can be frustrating, at least in concept to think about. And surprisingly, it's not. The thing about these games is even if you lose, you gain something out of the experience, and not just like, oh, I did that for 20, 30 minutes, whatever it is. You're either going to you're going to learn things that make you better for the next run, whether it's yourself or in game, there'll be skills that you learn. So in Hades, the progression that you can make is you will gather resources each run, each attempt that you try and complete the game. There's a wide variety of different resources. Some allow you to build upgrades in the actual levels to help you out, progress, and complete things easier. There'll be a resource that will help your character get stronger, so maybe increase their attack power, or allows you to dash more, increases your mobility, increases your special, whatever it is. You'll get resources like that. You'll get resources like gold that will help you only specifically in that run, but can help upgrade your weapons or upgrade skills you might have or get health upgrades. Whatever it is, it will help you specifically during that time. And taking the things you learn there, whether it's these resources to improve your character, or just the information you learn about certain enemy characters, like, okay, this enemy is going to attack this certain way or has this certain weakness, you can use that information and bring it to your next run and hopefully progress farther and make it farther along in the game to reach your goal. And I think another thing about Hades is the runs, the attempts, not all that long. I think the longest I've spent on a run, and this was to completion, so granted, take that with a grain of salt, was about 40 minutes. So even if you are losing per se, it's really not that long. Like, it doesn't feel that short when you're playing it, which is kind of weird because you'll look at the clock like, oh shit, it's only been, the half hour, whatever it is. Like, it invests you in so much that you don't think about the time, but then when you're done with it, it's not all that much time is lost at all. I don't know if that makes sense at all. I apologize. it's not something that you're spending hours upon hours upon hours in to reset. I think that's what I'm trying to say here. So it's nice. Now, I mentioned completing a run in 40 minutes. Another thing about this game that is interesting is the story. You are the son of Hades, and your goal is to escape hell. You're trying to get out of there just for your own sanity. You don't want to be there anymore. And by doing these escape attempts and eventually escaping, you will learn that unfortunately there's something holding you back in hell that doesn't fully allow you to escape. But you will learn of another objective that makes you want to keep escaping to kind of get more information out of this goal. I'm trying to be really vague here, so there's no spoilers. And you follow up with those escape attempts. The nice thing is you have to do it multiple times, and that story is intriguing enough that it never feels like, oh God, I already did the escape. Why am I doing this again? It's rewarding for you to keep doing it. And along with the reset of yourself in each attempt is different. Now, there's a couple factors similar to the resources that kind of allow for this to be different and unique enough where it doesn't feel like it's grinding per se in like certain games where like, oh, I really need to get XP for my character while I'll do this same battle over and over again, or I'll kill this same enemy. This game doesn't really feel like that because each run is unique enough that it doesn't drag along. Things that they do well that allow this to play out that way is, one, your character's weapon set. When you do start the game, you are going to start with just the sword. But gradually, as you progress, you're going to unlock more weapons to use. So there's a bow and arrow, there's a shield, there's a spear, there's other weapons that you can use, which is fun to play with. Each has their own attacks. They all control the same, but they each have their own, unique animations or way to use them, etc. So along with each weapon individually has 3 to 4 variations of the weapon that you can use. So small changes that like allow you to do different things with that weapon, and that makes it a lot of fun. So the weapons are a blast, and there's some weapons that I prefer over others, but I don't think there's a weapon that really I'm like, just avoiding because it's gross. Like, obviously the controls are different or your strategy is different, but I've never strayed away from a weapon because it's not fun to play. And I think that's a plus too. Another thing that's going to make your attempts fun and unique is they call them boons, but it's essentially the Olympian gods that you are going to meet along your journey. The reason they help out a lot is they're going to invest in your character and try and help you escape from hell. So they're going to give you essentially powers from them to use. So for example, you meet Zeus. He will give you abilities that are chained to his lightning. So maybe your attack, once you make contact with somebody and deal damage, will chain lightning to another enemy and deal some damage to them. Or maybe when you dash away, a lightning strike will come down and hit your opponent. So there's a wide variety of Olympian gods. I think there's maybe 10 or so that you talk to, and they each have a lot of different boons or abilities that you can learn from them in your run. Another thing that makes it fun, along the same line, is you can mix and match these powers. Excuse me. So I mentioned the resources that you kind of gather along the way. As you're playing through this game, it's like a room system. So you go into a room, you have enemies there, clear the room, you can proceed from there. You kind of select your path each time you go. So I clear a room, I have 2 options. Maybe I want to go for this money, or maybe I want to go for Zeus and learn a power from them. And then I choose my door, clear that room, etc., etc. Some rooms will only have a single door that you can go out to. Some will have 2. Some will have even 3 choices that you can kind of build your character up in the move set and in their skill set to kind of attempt to make this escape. And like I said, it provides enough variety that it doesn't feel, once again, like that grind to it. that can sometimes detract from games and not make them fun. So yeah, overall, Hades has just been a blast to play. This morning, I finally rolled official credits on it after making so many escape attempts. I do still have the epilogue of it, and I plan on getting the platinum in this game, so getting the trophies in this game, just because I'm so invested in playing it, and it's just fun. It's something... It sounds weird, but turn off your brain, not have to overthink about anything, and just go with the flow and have fun with it. And that's ultimately should be the goal of any game. If it's if it's super taxing and like, oh, I gotta really calculate every move, like, I don't know, that can be fun. I can definitely understand that. Like, you know, the Roller Coaster Tycoon, you're not super critical, but maybe you're planning out things, or SimCity or Sims, or like, I can see how those aspects are fun, but obviously if something goes too far in one direction, kind of loses that enjoyability or enjoyment factor out of it. So this one, really been enjoying. And another game that's come out recently that has a similar roguelite aspect to it that's kind of caught my attention has been Deathloop. Deathloop, as of recording, came out not last Tuesday, but I think the Tuesday prior. I've only played a very small amount of it just because of time, but this game is very intriguing. Very intriguing. I've talked to a couple of coworkers who have played it as well, and they're having a blast with it. And some other members in the online community have had a lot of positive feedback for it. Some of them have finished it already. I'm like, geez, okay, come on. But this game has been a blast in the couple hours that I have played with it, because once again, it allows for this freedom of like how you play, but also the story is just so interesting in like a thought-provoking way of trying to be like, wait a minute, so this thing is going, how it's the fun web unweaving of trying to figure out what the fuck is going on in this universe. So if you don't know what Deathloop is about, what's the guy's name? Cole, I think. Oh boy, that I'm already forgetting. I think it's Cole. You wake up on this beach after being murdered from a woman. What? You died and now you're on a beach? Okay, question mark. And you are essentially reliving this one day over and over and over again. And your character is trying to figure out, how the hell do I get out of this loop and move on with my life? So the goal, as Cole, you are trying to get out of this loop, and the only way you can break out of this loop is to eliminate 8 of these visionaries, or like leaders of this island. For some reason, the visionaries have a power that is connected to the loop, the island, etc. Who knows? And by eliminating all of them, it can mess with this thing that's creating the loop and can disrupt it. So, okay, seems simple enough. However, as you're doing this, one of the visionaries is trying to assassinate you. She is chasing you down, and this happens to be the woman that you get killed by at the beginning of the game. Her name is Juliana. She's a fellow assassin. I guess we learned there's some kind of connection between her and Cole. They have some kind of history. But she's trying to maintain this loop, and she will hunt you down, and you have to defend yourself. So the interesting thing about this game is you have to kind of like figure out, okay, what is my plan to get rid of these visionaries and defend myself from her, all in the matter of a single day. The nice thing about this is, once again, this is a game about dying and repeating. Similar to Hades, where it's attempts, escapes. This one is not... It's similar in ways where you're building up your arsenal, but early on in the game, I noticed it's a lot of information building. So you're going to find out either different paths that you can take to attack these visionaries or try and take them out, or certain intel. Maybe certain visionaries are only around during certain parts of the day, or their weaknesses at certain points. So you need to kind of gather these resources to kind of make your ultimate game plan of how you're going to tackle everything. And when you do eventually die or the day resets, once again, it doesn't feel like, I just lost 3 hours of progress. It feels like, okay, what did I learn that run? Okay, I learned person A is going to be over here. Person B is not going to show up until nighttime, but person C has a resource that I need that can make killing person B so much easier, whatever it is. It's fun to kind of maneuver and figure out what your correct path is. And the thing is, too, there is no really, like, correct path. Do you want to be sneaky and stealthy about it? Yeah, go ahead. Figure out what path best aligns for you, assassinate the person in the back, and peace out into the shadows. Or do you want to be the person that's just running and gunning, shooting every mofo that you see, or kicking them off cliffs, which is very entertaining and satisfying for some sick reason. You can play this how you want to play it, and it's great. Going back to Juliana, excuse me. One other fun aspect that this game has is, like I said, she's trying to hunt you down. You can play this game 3 different ways. Juliana's not always going to hunt you down at the same time. She's going to kind of show up at random times. A little music cue will go off, and you can kind of hear her on a radio talking to you. You can either play it where it's just a standard computer, single-player experience, where computer comes after you, does their thing, you fight, etc. Move on. Or there's an online component to this game where you can either option 2 it, have any random Joe Schmo on the internet come in and, try and mess up your day, or you take them out. Or option 3, you can have your friends come in and try and mess up your shit and have some fun with that. I like this option a lot. Obviously, you do have to be playing at the same time, so that's a whole thing. But I just like the ability of, like, a random occurrence happening. Now, I can see how this could be frustrating, but just like that organicness happening of, like, oh shit, this can happen any time. Someone's coming in, messing around with you. And if it is your friends only, it's kind of like a little chess game. It's not just some random guy who's MLG at shooters coming in, wrecking your shit, and then peacing out. No, it's with your friends, hopefully. It's at least a little bit more even. And like I said, it's that fun chess game of, like, oh crap, okay. So I know Kyle, for example, I know he's really good at really being stealthy with his runs. How can I go into his game and kind of snap him out of it, maybe mess up his system a little bit to kind of have some fun, get him, make him change the way he's playing it, keep him on his toes. So yeah, I just think that's a fun concept. I haven't played it enough where I've run into, obviously, an online player, but I have run into Juliana once of the single player, her being computer, and it just added a little bit more tension to the situation of, like, wait, I'm actually being hunted right now? Oh, crap. So yeah, I'm very excited to play more of that game, to kind of learn, obviously, more about the story. I'm very excited to learn more information of, like, what is going on, what's Cole's background, why is there even a time loop in the first place, and why are the Visionaries so invested in protecting it to keep it going. So yeah, Deathloop's been a lot of fun. And then one other game I've been playing recently, I've gotten back into the series, but is NBA 2K22. I haven't played a basketball game in a few years. Like most sports games or yearly releases, it's kind of like, all right, same shit, different day, So after you do a couple years back to back, it's like, do I really want this next one? While it is fun, it doesn't really add anything to it. So after taking a couple years off, and obviously with the next generation systems out, I was like, you know what, I want to give it a try. I'm going to hop back in. I'm not the biggest basketball fan, but those games are always fun to play and spend time in. And 2K22, for me personally, has been that. It's been a fun returning back to the series. I focus a lot on the My Player mode. I've been kind of tinkering around with the past couple iterations of the game. The My Team mode, I'd like to invest more into that this year. not necessarily the online aspects. I know some people in the NBA community, especially with 2K, they get really invested in my team and they get really invested in my player, and oh boy, that virtual currency they're spending, man, RIP their wallets. I know a lot of people really get into those modes, and the online competitive community for that is huge. I don't think I'll ever do that, but I have enjoyed the aspects of my team that I have played with, creating a team, getting the little cards, and those are the characters you can use, and you got to manage, contract lengths, and you obviously win the games, and the little challenges of like, okay, how much can you like build up the little trackers and tokens of like how well your performance was for the game to unlock more stuff. So that part's always been fun. And then my player has always been a fun game mode in the 2K series, because obviously you're create a character and you get to go in and live out your NBA dreams. Some years have definitely been better than others. I can't think of like a specific one, but I know there's been some stronger ones in previous years than this year's. I don't think this year's is bad per se, but there's some things that just, what's the term I'm thinking of? Like, not fan service, but like how I play it doesn't really make it super easy sometimes. So the things I'm talking about, in this year's game, they introduced something called the city in quotation marks, where it's this big open world part of the game. And essentially that's where you do the online aspects, where you can play, my players versus my players, 3v3, whatever it is. And you can go around and you can go into stores and buy clothes for your my character or my player. You can do little drills with them to make them better. So they have this open world area. Okay, cool. That's totally fine. It's an interesting aspect. And they've tied this city into all of your quests. So that's a big thing in this one. It's like RPG almost, where like you have a quest. Okay, go talk to your head coach. Do some training drills with your coach. Go talk to this PR person and, what representative do you want? Go talk to this brand and figure out how to deal with them. Okay, cool, fine. The thing that's kind of like takes you out of it is you have to literally travel to all these places. Now, the city's not huge, but you're literally running around the city, or, as they've given us in the launch, is a skateboard where you'll kind of move around faster. But sometimes it's just like, oh my God, I got to skateboard all the way over here to just talk and go through this cutscene, to then go over here to this quest, and it's, when it's a game about basketball, I kind of just want to play the basketball part, which you totally can. Some things, some quests you do have to do early on, but you don't have to do everything. Like, they'll list a bunch of stuff that you can do for like in-game currency. So if you did want in-game currency to earn to improve your character, or just little, I want this t-shirt or whatever it is, you can go do those things, but you don't have to go to those things. I've just noticed with the ones that you have to do early on, I was thinking that a couple of times of like, early on in the game, I'm undrafted, I'm still doing like the college circuit, or the G League, there it is, doing that. And so the games aren't as back to back as normal, so you have to talk to this PR guy and then go do this media thing, and it's like, I don't care about this stuff. I get why, it's part of the game to like, ooh, real life, we're tying this in, but it's not super fun. If it just went straight to that cutscene and those dialogue choices, like in between games, totally fine with that. A-okay. But the fact that I have to, no, I can't play a basketball game now. I have to go do this thing. Okay, go travel there, do all that thing, go talk to them, blah, blah, blah. Just like, not super fun to me. Not super appealing. So that would be my little negative gripe about that aspect of the game. Other than that, the game plays like previous years, and that's a lot of fun. Personally, I like the grind of my player of like, shit, I'm missing how many baskets a game, and just boom, 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 just bricking everything. And then when you finally get stuff, you're like, yeah, let's go. Hit a 3, hit a 2. I actually blocked a shot. Holy shit! Like, I like that grind of it and eventually building up. I know some people don't like that. Like, I've talked to friends in the past. They're like, no, I want to play it and I want to do good. And I get that. Because, like, why be crazy like me and be like, I'm suffering in this game. Bench me, coach. Just take me off. But yeah, I enjoy that aspect of it. I think the presentation this year is a little bit lackluster compared to some years. Like, there's no TNT half show. You don't have Shaq or those guys talking to you anymore. Some of the, like, transition screens are kind of, yeah. I do really enjoy the different commentary teams that they have this year. So it's not the same 3-man booth just talking the whole time. I think there's 4 different teams that will cycle from game to game. So that's kind of cool because you kind of get to hear more, obviously more commentary lines and variety there. So that's cool. But yeah, it's been a good time. It's a nice thing to kind of just play and once again turn your brain off, but try and sink some shots in, have a good time. I know it's not going to be for everybody. Like many things, everybody's got their niche of like things they like, but I've been having fun with it and enjoying diving back into it. Hopefully, like I said, with me and investing, quote unquote, investing some time into my team mode, maybe I can get some more out of that and see what everybody's like all up in a tizzy about. Because I know some other sports games have adopted this card collecting, like, create a team type mode. Like, I think MLB The Show has a similar mode that is being played that people really like, and I don't know if FIFA does it, but yeah, just kind of spend some more time with that and go from there. But yeah, that's what I've been playing lately. I just kind of wanted to geek out and talk about that kind of stuff. Say what I've been enjoying playing, because there was a time where I was kind of like in between. I was like, nothing really speaking to me, but I'm kind of back in a good groove, a nice groove of games that I've really connected with, and there's some other games that I want to eventually get to and play. I want to play more Ratchet and Clank, the new one, Rift Apart, that came out, and kind of play through that. Ghost of Tsushima is still on my backlog, and speaking of backlog, that's always just sitting there. So I kind of would like to make some more time to play some stuff, and eventually I'll have some more time. The second job's going to be wrapping up soon, so I'll have some free time on my hands. But yeah.